Had a big feeling to climb back in bed. Then I looked in the mirror and somebody said, wake up, wake up. It's time for you to lose the blues, and this is a very special treat. Tell it to everyone you meet that life is all for living and love is all for giving. So this is a very special day. Tell it to everyone along the way that this is a very special day. I woke up early this morning with gloom on my head. Had a big feeling to climb back in bed. Then I looked in the mirror and somebody said, wake up, wake up. It's time for you to lose the blues, and this is a very special treat. Tell it to everyone you meet that life is all for living and love is all for giving. So this is a very special day. Tell it to everyone along the way that this is a very special day.
Very special day it is. It is the 3rd day of August. Good morning and welcome to Coffee Club. I am Becky. I've got Greg with me this morning. Good morning. Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday and happy August. Where did July go?
I don't know. Were we not just celebrating the 4th of July the other day? Were we not just at the parade down there?
The fair and the whole deal.
Yeah, the fair too. Absolutely. Time flies when you're having fun. We're on to the 3rd day of August, and today is Airplane Crop Duster Day. I've seen a lot of that going on. Yeah. A lot of times when you see those airplanes and you're wondering, why are they so low? They are crop dusting out there.
They are. And I think they're not doing aerobatics, but they're actually helping the farmers. And they said that last year there wasn't a lot of that because of COVID, and so it's kind of nice to see them back.
Absolutely. And and I think some of them do some fancy things out there. Some fancy movements, okay?
I'll guarantee you.
Yeah. But also, this is Clean Your Floors Day. You know, I was bragging when we went over to Walmart. You know, their floor is so clean. You can see in it. But it's hard when you clean your floors and then everybody walks through the floors. It's hard to keep your floors clean after you clean your floors. So today is Clean Your Floors Day. Okay.
I'm usually the one that walks through the floors.
Yeah. Don't walk on it. Don't. Just mop. Just clean. All right. This is also Grab Some Nuts Day. What kind would you grab?
Probably almonds.
I knew that.
Almonds or I don't know.
Mine would be pistachios.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pistachio.
Yeah.
Now,
Or you can't beat a
shelled
good
or
cashew.
unshelled?
I don't know. You have it your way. Just don't get crazy over there.
It's like watching you shell pistachios is a treat.
It takes, well, you work for it. Let me tell you, you work for such a little good thing. But also cashews, and I like a lot of them.
Never been a filbert.
Do what?
Filbert nut.
Yeah, there you go.
Never been a filbert.
Yeah. This is also National Night Out.
No, there we go.
Okay. All right. Ooh, National Watermelon Day. Love watermelons. Yum. We had some good watermelons too.
We've had some good ones and we've had some duds.
Yes. And it's so sad when you get one of those duds, you know.
Yeah.
It's just like you try to make it work, you know. And then we even, if you remember, Addison and I rolled back, probably a month ago or so, we put, the new thing was to try mustard on your watermelon. It's a different taste, not anything that I'm crazy about.
Now, was it just yellow mustard or did you do?
We did
brown
yellow.
mustard?
No, we didn't do anything. We didn't go flashy. We just went yellow mustard, and it was
mustard.
no, it didn't do that. Now that might bring a whole new insight, but open up your sinuses. Yeah. No, regular mustard. It was a big thing that I guess campaign that went through trying mustard on watermelon, and we had to try it, but it really wasn't for us. But
Those crazy kids.
those crazy
Their
kids.
little TikTok videos.
Let's thank our sponsors.
Yeah.
You should have them over there, right? Oh no, I have them. Oh, you have them.
I gave them to you. I will take them back. We thank Walmart, Mediview Healthcare, Salem Crossing, Hoosier Uplands, Kentuckiana Cat and Core, and Dr. Black's Eye Associates.
Yay, thank you to our great sponsors. We are going to be talking with Alicia Thompson from our health department and find out some good information from her. We look forward to that. And that'll be very shortly. Want to talk a little bit. We'll see here. First of all, Borden, and if you saw, I did talk about Borden School Corporation had a water leak. So they're on a little bit of a delay of getting a school started. And that's wah for them. I feel bad for them. Things
Supposed
like
to
that
be
happen.
back today, but maybe not. But,
I don't know. We'll
but
see about
most
that.
Schools, I think, start this week
Yeah,
around
for sure.
Indiana. So.
Sure. And also hearing about the airline, Spirit having a little bit of trouble getting a few of their planes together. Of course, they had some with weather. They had issues. They had some with COVID issues, and they had some with, I guess, a strike issue. So a lot going on there in the airlines department, too.
I think so. A lot of airlines have had difficulty lately. I don't know if it's maintenance issues. I don't know if it's the weather. I don't know what it is, but anyway. So.
And of course, we'll see how. And of course, we know that the airlines are requiring masks, and we'll find out. The big question is as far as schools, and this is something that we're looking forward to talking with Alicia. Of course, we know that the state has basically put it in the lap of the school boards, and the school boards are trying to make the decision. So we're going to talk with Alicia and find out some information. And of course, every day it gets updated. We do know, though, that our numbers are going up in our community.
I can.
Let's go ahead. Let's do the numbers now.
Yeah. Do those. Okay, we had 9,000. And now also yesterday's numbers that were given were from last Wednesday. See that like today's or yesterday's report was from August the 1st, which was Sunday. And so today's figures that come out at noon will be actually from yesterday, from Monday. So last Thursday's, which is what we had, they're not doing them on Friday or Saturday or Sunday, so they're just starting on Monday. So Thursday's numbers from last week that you read yesterday were actually from last Wednesday, so there's about 4 or 5 days there. But anyway, this is from Sunday. So there were 9,079 tests, new tests administered, 616 positive cases, no deaths, and set the positivity rates up to 7.5 now. And in just a few weeks, that's went from 1.8, and now it's up to 7.5. 11,270,135 tests have been given out altogether since February 26th of last year. There have been 774,097 positive tests since March the 6th of last year. There was the statewide positivity is up to 15.2%. And we've had a total of 13,583 deaths since March 16th of last year. So, in our counties, in Lawrence County, they had 3 new cases. They're up to 4,999, almost ready to tick over to 5,000. They had no new deaths, and they had 14 new tests, and their positivity rate's 8.5. Jackson County, they had 2 new cases. They're up to 5,201. They had 13 new tests, and they are up to 8.4%. Jennings County had 5 new cases, 16 new tests, and they're at 12.8%. Orange County is at 1,938 positive cases. 3 of those were new. 6 new tests, and they're at 8.1%. Washington County is at 2,568 total positive cases. 2 of those were new, and they had 11 new tests. I'm not sure where the tests are coming from. They're not coming from the health department. So 11.6% for their total positivity here in Washington County. Scott County had 2 new cases. They're at 28.44. They had 18 new tests, and they're 12.2%. Clark County had 21 new cases. 52 new tests, and they're at 11.2%. Floyd had 13 new positive cases, 30 new tests, and 8.9%. Harrison County had 4 new cases, 16 new tests, and 10.1% positivity rate. And Crawford County had 1 new case, 6 new tests, and they're at 13.6%. And if you look at the map, as we did last week, we have Washington, Scott, Harrison, Perry, and Crawford County are in the orange.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, I believe, is this Alicia Thompson? We'll come back on that.
Morning.
Hey, good morning. So glad to have, we got Alicia Thompson from our Washington County Washington County Health Department and our health nurse. So glad to have you with us this morning. Thank you for taking time, okay? And Alicia, I'm going to go ahead and warn you, I'm going to be all over the page, okay?
Okay.
Okay.
I think she
I'll
knows
try
that.
to keep up.
I know.
Don't
I
cry.
think you're used to my style, but this time, because there's so many questions that I've got, and I've had so many questions actually asked, so we're going to try to get to everything. Of course, something will get sparked, I'm sure, during all this. But let's go back and let's talk about where we're at and some questions that start right off with. Let's go back over from our normal that we've known, the COVID-19, to our variant now, and the differences that you're seeing and what's going on with that. Let's just start off there.
Our county, of course, was back up to orange. Unfortunately, we were really hopeful that this wasn't going to happen again until sometime when it got colder out and everybody be congregating indoors. But so this in part because of the new variants that seem to be a lot more transmittable and also a lot stronger than the previous variants that we have had of COVID. So somewhere between everybody still being around each other, we're spreading this a lot faster to younger, healthier people.
Okay, so you bring that for a good point. That was my next. Okay, so if you are talking, we are talking younger, and that's something that a lot of, because for those that do, we're not here to debate shots or no shot, but for those that do want their child to have the shots, do you see them dropping that down a little bit lower for that, or do you see them staying at the same age for the shots? And what is a parent to do at this point?
At this moment, it's still for those 12 and up. They can get Pfizer. But as far as dropping it, they're still in the test for the younger ages, and they're not going to drop it until all those tests have been completed and there's been enough research to make sure that it'll be effective and safe enough for younger people. So we got a little ways to wait for anyone that's younger than 12.
Right. And are you hearing, because I'm hearing a lot that the younger ones that are affected, it's really pretty hard on them. I mean, they're really suffering quite a bit with the with this.
Yes, and any long-term effects that seem to be lasting. We have people that seem to stay on oxygen for months and months afterwards. So even just recently, I heard someone say, well, this is just a cold, and that just goes right through me. This is not just a cold. The cold does not cause long-term effects like this does. And yes, most people fully recover, but there's a bunch that aren't, and because of this still being so new, we don't know exactly what all it's going to do. But for those people that it has affected, it has pretty harsh long-term consequences of catching this virus.
Now, I'm hearing that some think that that it's like they're having sinus. A lot of this new variant has got signs of like you have the sinus infection.
Mm-hmm. Yes. The new variant also does not seem to affect the loss of taste or smell. It doesn't seem to cause that this time. But, that still is a problem because that variant is still around, but this new variant doesn't seem to cause that symptom.
What are more of the symptoms then, maybe for anyone listening on this new one?
So the cold symptoms, the allergy symptoms, not as much fever, but yeah. I think the majority of it is just not as great of a fever and not the loss of taste and smell.
Okay. All right. So another question. On the actual testing now, a lot
I've lost you.
I'm sorry. Are you there? Okay. On the actual testing, there's been a lot of different testing sites that have been closed, and of course, now no longer is the health department testing. Right.
The department never has been able to test,
Okay.
but we do have 2 places here in our county that I am aware of, by appointment only, and that would be the Salem Community Medical Center, located with LifeSpring, and Schneck, located down beside Subway. But both you have to call and make an appointment first.
Okay. So let's go to those over-the-counter ones now that you can buy. And now this is what I'm hearing, and I want you to know. Tell me, remember how we like to do truth or crap?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. I'm hearing that they're accurate if they're done right. And
they're done right.
Yeah.
So you've got to be brave and put on your big girl pants or big boy pants, because that swab has to go high up in your nasal cavity and be swiped around the entire cavity several times. And that is going to probably cause lots of eye watering and gagging and wanting you to jerk away. And it may even be safer if somebody else had on a mask and swabbed you if they're already in your household.
I could see a spouse could do that, I'm sure.
I don't know. We might be
So going back on that, okay, so let's say that we do get one. Let's say we go over to Walmart and we get one of those, okay, and we do it and we test positive, okay, test positive. Okay, then, this is where I'm confused, and I hope you can help me out on this. Is that the individual's responsibility to pick up the phone and call you, or is there a form for them to fill out in the box, or what is it? What goes on with that?
That is a great question, and I have no idea how they have that set up so that the correct channels of people receive that positive information. I assume that test. I don't even know. I don't know if it's a rapid and gives you results then, or if they send it off. I'm not sure how that happens. Do you know? Is that a rapid test?
The way I stand to be corrected many, many times, but I thought that I've not done one, and I'm not. But I thought that it was a rapid test, and it would tell you. I'm going to use the word because I'm used to the pregnancy test. So, but I thought it was similar to that, if you will, trying to explain, like that, and you'll get your results, but I'm wondering how many people actually are going to then go that next step to go ahead and call the health department to say, I just tested positive. So I'm wondering how many of those that we have out there that possibly could be with a positive that are not actually, we do not have on our numbers.
Right. Exactly. And I personally have not had anyone call and tell us that they did one of the self swabs and got a positive. So I think most of the time people that are feeling really awful and feel that they need to be tested have been seeing doctors. So I don't know. I don't know why do your own?
Yeah. Well, if you're just like, because maybe you don't, I'm gonna show you the other side of the fence. Maybe for those that just do not want to go to the doctor, and this is over the counter, this is easy, and and you would know, and hopefully then you would be the responsible citizen and either quarantine or and report it. But
so anyone that does one of those, I do not know what the directions say in it. Please follow the directions exactly, but you can feel free to give us a call. Do not show up here if it comes up positive, but yes, please feel free to call 883-5603. But we will go through all the different steps on what you need to do to quarantine if that does happen. But please do not show up. We have people coming in here for vaccines, and we don't want to potentially pass it on to anyone else. If you get a positive result from that home test, stay home quarantine, just give us a call.
Okay, so that brings me into now. Okay, are we okay? I'm segueing into this question. Okay, so let's say that someone has a positive. Okay, them wearing a mask and the person next to them wearing a mask, is that good enough, or are we still quarantining, or what's our protocol now on this?
Absolutely quarantining, because this is still so transmissible. You stay at home. You have to stay at home, and you need to try and stay away from those that live in the home with you. Like, isolate yourself to a bedroom and don't share anything with people, everything needs to be thoroughly cleaned in that household. But those that are in the household with you have also now been close contacts of a positive and are also quarantining. They still need to try and keep their distance so that they don't possibly become positive. But everybody in that household now needs to stay home quarantined.
Okay. So it's pretty well, nothing's changed on that, right?
Correct. The only thing I can say about quarantine periods, though, is that the state put out different guidelines based off CDC, and they made, if you can remain without symptoms, asymptomatic, and dependent on what your employer's policy is. So they have the choice to determine they can come back 10 days later if they have had no symptoms that entire time, and they keep a mask on at all times on days 11 through 14. Or they can be, if they have no symptoms up to day 8, they can get a PCR test. So not the rapid, but a PCR. And if it was negative and they get tested on day 5, 6, or 7, they should be able to return on day 8. And then the other one is to continue. This is the original one. If you have had no symptoms, you can stay home and you stay home for your 14 days, you can return on day 15. But like I said, that's based off of your employer's policy, the school's policy. You don't get to just pick one. You have to find out whatever the policy is of your workplace or school.
Okay. And as far as like, do you see any like pop up or any places that we might have have some vaccination clinics for the younger people, or just for individuals in general?
So I don't know of any pop-up places that are around. I haven't heard of any of those that are down here in southern Indiana. I know they have a bunch up in northern Indiana. We have one place here in the county, and it just now slipped my mind, that does Pfizer. It's either CVS or Walmart. Please call them to find out which one. But
reason I was thinking Walmart got Pfizer. Yeah, I think they
did. They?
Yeah, I think that's right.
Okay, so then we possibly have 2 places that are doing it, but both of them are by appointment first. So
well, I know.
Make sure you make that appointment and don't just show up for it.
Right, exactly. And I know that they will help you. If you have trouble, they will help. I know they're really good about making sure, if somebody has trouble trying to get on to register. So like in New York, on one side of the street, they have a like a pop-up, if you will, area, or like an area they popped up for, and they have the actual vaccinations. On the other side of the street, there's a little pop-up for the test, to get a COVID test. So do you see us doing anything like that, or do you think that we'll just stay where we're at, or what are you thinking on this?
I don't know. I'm kind of worried because we had all this mass pandemonium when this started, and now I feel like everyone's gotten kind of lackadaisical, and they're like, okay, well, it's not going away. Whatever happens, happens. And that's concerning since this is a virus. It can constantly mutate. It is getting stronger. I feel like we need to be a little more proactive. And on the other hand, I also know how everybody is so burnt out and tired of it.
Right.
But it was not hurting us to wear masks and clean and keep our distance. You still got to, there's other means to socialize and see each other, and you can still communicate with other people. Just put some footage between you.
Right.
There's ways around it. We just have to think outside the box so that mentally we don't go stir crazy, and physically we still keep healthy.
Right. So I guess, we were in that, and we were doing that, and we kind of, if you will, kind of figured out very creative ways to go ahead and live our lives. And then when we opened up this summer, which some will say, I'm just going hearsays and, what on the streets and stuff, what people say. Some would say, well, we opened up way too early. And then some said, and so, that's not, we don't, it is what it is. It doesn't matter what that is now. So, we kind of everybody started getting back, if you will, to somewhat the more normal, if you will. Now, is it going to be harder to go back or rain or what are we, because I heard someone the other day say, and this was, and this was someone said, if they tell me to put a mask on, I'm going to kick them in the teeth. I mean, I know that was not literally. I mean, but I'm saying, and this was somebody completely else. But anyway, I'm just thinking, how are we going to ever go back to where, or do you think it's going to be able to do that, or where are we at, Alicia? With that?
I don't think they'll ever go back. I don't think that they'll shut down anything again, which is that much scarier because as a medical professional and someone that also works in the hospital, it's so overwhelming. There are so many medical professionals that are so burnt out and so tired, and this has an easy enough fix. But even with our shutting down, it was only slowing it down until if everybody could just completely, I know this is out of the question, I know a couple countries have done it, but if everyone could just stay home for 14 days and we could kill this thing off. There are a couple countries that have done this. Nobody left. Nobody went anywhere. That way, there was no way for it to spread, and then it was gone.
I think you've said that early on. I think that's been something like you've been putting that on. Of course, it's not been listened to. It's not. They're
not going to listen to me. Nobody wants to do it. I wouldn't want to do that either. But if that's what it took for this to completely go away, I can only hope and pray that everybody would jump on board. I know that it's a little far-fetched.
Alicia, I always go to that scene in Jaws whenever, everybody's over there splashing in the ocean, and then that lady's over there, the pond where he's actually at, Jaws is actually at, and she's screaming, shark, shark, and nobody's listening, That seems like, I know, but to you talk about a cat rodeo or whatever, trying to wrangle everybody in, I don't know, I don't see that one happening, right?
Right, yeah. Right. And now schools are starting back, and I kind of fear for the kids.
Absolutely, and that's something very concerning. Okay, so that's where I want to jump into. Okay, so the powers that be have put I guess the mask or no mask in the school board. Okay, in the lap of the school board, and I want to ask your opinion because most of our school boards are not made up of doctors.
Right.
So to make that decision, how do you feel about that? Do you feel that's a little bit, I know, okay, the powers that be say that there were school boards that wanted that decision, that wanted to be able to make that decision. But everyone that I've talked to have not felt that that's a very,
they're not
qualified. Yeah, that's not something that most school boards are qualified to actually do. We're not medical.
Right. So, and I believe, I don't know what all of our schools in this county have done, but everybody still gets the option to wear a mask if that makes them feel more comfortable, and that's always a safer option at this point in time. After all the frustrations and questions and problems that went on beforehand and how upset all the parents would get over any decision that was made, I think that's why state gave it over to each individual school board to make the decision for their school corporation. So I kind of understand from that point, but at the same time, I'm with you that they're not medical professionals. But it doesn't matter what decision is made. Half the people are going to be angry.
Right. Well, I think that as far as schools, I think that all of our county schools and even those surrounding counties, I think our children did fantastic. I think they did wonderful, and they received it well. And I think they were so excited about getting back to school and I think it was done well. And as a matter of fact, if you go back through the state, and the state said that the schools actually are one of the better places because of all the cleaning that our custodians do and all the protocol that they had. So actually school was doing not so bad. It was just, anyway, so going back to that, do you see that happening, or what do you think?
I don't know. And even if, it's also frustrating. Our numbers are going up so quickly that I do wonder if it is going to need to be brought back and a mandate put in place to wear masks. I know some of our southern counties have already done that. They had already put out that masks were optional, and they've already gone back on that. And they were like, nope, everybody's wearing a mask now.
Right.
Didn't hurt them.
Right.
I mean, maybe it made you frustrated, but keep your emotions in check. You're alive. You're healthy. You survived it. So you're 100% at this point. It's better of yourself and everyone around you at this right now.
Right.
Will the health department itself make any kind of recommendations for the schools or the public?
So unfortunately, in the last few months, state legislator took that power away from the health department, and they gave it over to county commissioners. So it would be the county commissioners that would get to make any mandates as to how, if any mandates were needing to be made. Our commissioners were great. They've already met with the health department. They decided that whatever Dr. Morgan said that they would go along with. So fortunately, we are very grateful to be able to collaborate with each other to make those decisions if it comes down to that needs to be done. And being orange, we'll probably need to have a meeting.
Right.
Possible.
Well, no, exactly, because we've got school starting this week, and and so going back, let's go and following the CDC guidelines too, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what are some of their guidelines for this?
I have not checked recently because I've been over at the hospital more than I've been over here. I'm sure they still.
Yeah, the way I understand, I wanted to make sure, but my understanding was they were recommending, they were wanting masks. If you
think so, yeah.
I think that's something too.
Because it did so much for us when everybody was wearing their mask and keeping their distance. Everybody's numbers came down, and it was after everything was opened up and everybody was just like, all right, let's go back to exactly how we were. Well, we went back to the numbers going right back up. You can't be in a pandemic and think you can go back to how everything was and that it'll be fine and just disappear. It doesn't work like that.
Right. Well, and here's what I feel. I feel like, for the school boards, and just from that angle, everybody that sits on a board for school, if they're in it for the right reason, of course, children first, and making sure the safety of our children has to be and this, Alicia. I'm not preaching to you. You and I are having this discussion because we're in the same. We know our children, are the top priority. So I guess making sure that parents feel when they drop their child off or send their child on that school bus, that is something that we have to work very hard to strive to make sure that those parents feel comfortable and when they go to their job, that they're not worrying about their child, correct?
Correct.
And
while you said that, I'm sorry, it triggered information.
Go ahead, and then I'll go back. You go ahead.
CDC and ISDH both have said that it is mandatory for any child on a bus or anyone doing any public transportation. It is mandatory to have a mask on. Right. So I want to put that one out there.
Right. Yes. And by all rights, that's yes. But I think it's to I guess what I'm thinking is to have if when you make that decision, to not have that medical degree that most school boards do not have, it's a little bit, I don't know the word, reckless to say things that, that's where I feel like the health department, you as a professional, our health doctor, Dr. Morgan, and I feel like our commissioners, I feel like this is something that we need a lot of help with from the medical sense and instead of from the school board sense.
Yes, and the schools have been in contact with us. They send us emails, they call and ask questions. So I don't think that any of our schools have taken it lightly. They were trying to take in all aspects and weigh all their options, and each did what they felt was best for their area. And that's where the parents then have the option that you get to decide what's best for your child. So you decide if whatever that decision was works best for your child. And if you're going to have a mask on them and make them wear the mask at all times there to help protect them that much more. But yeah, all the school boards have reached out to us. So,
well, and I do know that, yes, and you've been wonderful, and that's something that, for the guidance, because even though maybe the decisions are made by the school board, there's a lot of homework that goes into making that decision. But also, you don't want to make a decision that's not fair or best for everyone in the buildings.
Correct.
And in that, it might not be the most popular decisions, but it's the best decisions that are made and the safest decisions, because you don't want, someone coming back. You don't want anything tragic to happen. And I don't even want to go down that road, but there could be some really, really tragic. Yeah, tragic.
I agree.
Yeah. And of course, then, a lot of schools are offering the virtual, which is an option too.
Yes. So as a parent, I feel the schools have already struggled to make what decisions they felt were best for the majority of all the students and faculty. And so now as a parent, you get to decide what is best for your child and what works best for your family and safest option. And
right. And are you thinking then that, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot, Alicia, but are you thinking that it needs to be revisited, the mask, whether optional, or are you just, if you say, Becky, I just would like to take a pass on that until we have a meeting?
My personal opinion is that masks do need to be revisited, since we are going up so quickly. It's just a matter of time before we're going to be red again. And I really hope that doesn't happen tomorrow at noon when they put that out. And like I touched on earlier, it doesn't hurt you to wear it. Right. In no way, shape, or form. It kept everyone so much healthier.
Like last year when we were in orange and red, there were certain things that happened as far as things were stopped. Is that the response? Will that be different this year, or will it be the same?
I only heard part of what you said. Things were stopped last year, as far as like businesses being open and schools running in person, that type of thing.
Yeah, last year when we were in the orange and red, there were certain things that happened, and I was just curious, will those certain things happen again this year, or will that be a completely different story?
I don't know. They haven't updated anything in regards to that. I know the only thing that I have heard was that state felt that it was best for kids to be in school, in-person learning as much as possible. So I hope that they put something out really soon, since some schools have already started and we're about to start. But as far as like trying to close down businesses and stuff when it becomes red or orange and limiting capacity, they have not touched on that again.
I'm just curious because it's, and also this is the fourth variant, and there's other variants out there that they're starting to detect. What causes a virus to create its own variant?
Viruses, since the beginning of time, have always mutated, and I'm not exactly sure what causes it to it. Whether it's, I don't even know that I should put out anything because I'm probably wrong. But whether it, I know for a long time they were like, don't use antibacterial soaps because it's creating resistant organisms. So maybe it's the same type of thing where there's,
its goal is to survive, and so it's going to try to figure out a way to continue to propagate itself.
Right, and become stronger and try and, like you said, survive from whatever is put out to try and prevent it. So we literally would have to nip it in the bud immediately so that it could not continue to thrive and mutate.
And the best way to do that is probably never going to happen. So.
Exactly. Unfortunately, yes. So until everybody has some sort of immunity, you have to try your best to prevent it.
What do you think it continues to be people's resistance to getting the vaccine?
I think from From what I hear one thing that I, in my opinion, think is absolutely absurd, that they're trying to inject us with things that are going to track us or harm us, and that, in my opinion, that's absolutely absurd. The other thing is that it's just so new, and it is new. They have done extensive research, correct? It's not as much research as all the other vaccines, but they've done everything that was mandatory to make sure that it was safe to get out to the mass majority of people. And from what they learned then and are continuing to learn now and will continue to keep learning, it's for I can't say for everyone, for the majority of people, it is the best option because it is preventing, it is slowing down, it's preventing death and these long-term health problems. And a lot of people are like, well, it gave me the flu, or it made me feel horrible, or I had a fever. Any vaccine can. That's your body's immune response building up antibodies to stuff. That's nothing new. If your arm's red, swollen, irritated, you feel very tired, run down for a few days, your body's doing its job. It was just introduced to something new, so it's building up those antibodies, and it does make you feel run down because it's working so hard to make those antibodies.
Right. So going back to some of the, okay, on the, now that the, Alicia, again, I told you it's going to be like popcorn. We're going to be all over the place. But going back to the color, like orange and red, did they change some of that? Are we a new color system on that?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
So they've always had purple, which we have not seen. Purple would have been what we would be considered before the virus showed up. And then it's blue, so there's very little to any transmission. And then yellow, it's slightly showing up and spreading. Orange is, okay, we're really spreading this. Red is, it's bad. It's everywhere. It's beware.
And the CDC has a county or state maps that show the level of spread, and Indiana is almost all red now. There's a few yellow counties and a few orange counties, but southern Indiana is pretty well all red, and that is a little different than the one that the state puts out.
Yeah, and I'm not sure how each gets their information because there can only be so many sources, and those are going to have to be the positive tests. So I don't know how they statistically get their information as opposed to the state getting theirs.
Yeah, this shows that in the past 7 days, there's been 32 cases in Washington County, which was a 10.34% increase.
Mm-hmm.
And
so maybe in the first place, their color-coded system didn't run exactly off the same metrics as the one the state was using, but I foresee us, unfortunately, being read real soon by state's system.
Yeah, which that's the one, I guess, that counts the most. But it's hard to put it back in the bottle after it's out. And
yes.
Someone said today they don't think that genie will go back in the bottle.
Have we already made our 3 wishes?
Yeah, I know. I love that. Yeah.
This is a nasty genie.
Yeah, this is a lot. But as far as the health department, let's kind of go back over for those our community that's listening and also surrounding communities. I'm sure their health departments are parallel and doing the same things. But if you do a self-test, it would be very responsible as a citizen to call the health department, not to go to the health department, but to call the health department and let them know that you did test positive.
Absolutely. We can go through all the different things that are there for you, such as quarantine and the time frames. We can try and help you figure out whatever resources, like if you're needing to see a physician, how to get a hold of them. And please also follow whatever instructions are in that box, because I know the state and CDC have gone round and round trying to figure out what was best on how to get that information out and how to track it. So don't do only one of the steps and neglect the rest, because there's rhyme and reason there behind that. So please feel free to call us. We'll help you as much as we can, but also do anything that box tells you to do in the instructions.
And I think now that okay, something just sparked me. It takes me. I think I do remember that in the boxes usually there's two tests. There's one for that first, and if it tests negative, then you're supposed to wait like a day or two and then test again. And so therefore, sometimes remember in the beginning, like there was like some people would have like a false positive, or they would test negative, but then 2 days later they'd test positive because it didn't show up or something.
And it's still been like that. They still want you to wait. The best suggestion is to wait 5 days after you've been a known close contact before you get tested. But if you're having symptoms and everything, good chance that it'll come up. But like you're saying, there's that second one there just in case it wasn't quite strong enough in your body to show up with that first test.
Right. I think I remember them talking about that there's two tests in that. So then, okay. And then on the doctor's offices or the places that are actually testing, so then they report that to you, right? It's not the individual that does that, right?
Whoever does the testing puts it in the state system, and then we do get that information. It is still the state that will be contacting you as far as any contact tracing.
Okay. And are we so the contact tracing? And so what should an individual? Let's just go back over it. These are good reminders. If an individual tests positive, and they have, it's been reported and everything, they've done that, then what are they to do as an individual?
Stay home. You're going to stay home and do your quarantine. Those in the household are going to stay home with you. Just being a good friend, you should call those you remember you've been in close contact with and let them know, hey, I came up positive and I was around you recently. State will probably be contacting you for your quarantine.
Okay. And anything else that we need to know? Anything new, Alicia, that I might have missed on this?
Not that I can think of. Our county does have one of the highest rates of all the different variants. That's kind of concerning just because each of the variants show their different types of symptoms or can be that much more transmittable. So we just need to do our best to be safe, play safely.
Right. Well, and with school starting, you have it's always been that, and as a mom, before COVID, I mean, that's when either that's when all the loveliness starts, when everybody starts sharing, so many things. And I'm just wondering how it's going to be determined, whether it's just the sinuses, common cold, or if it's something more. And I guess that's just where you just have to go be tested. You just have to go get tested.
And state did think through this a little bit, and they sent each of the schools their own test kits and have taught them how to properly use them. The schools got to determine whether or not that would be used for faculty and staff, if they want to use it on students. So each of them have their own policy set up on who can be tested, because they only have a limited number of them, but they'll do their best to try and nip it in the bud also.
Right, and I did know that. I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah, and that's good. That's good when the school nurse can do something like that to see. Then it could really give a lot of good information to people on that.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, allergies been horrendous this year. I don't know if there's just that much more pollen or what going on, but because the symptoms overlap so much, you don't know. So it's good to have that many more resources out there to help and get an answer as quickly as possible.
Right. And it's interesting, too, that these symptoms are different in the fact that, because everybody else judged, if they, smell or taste, and this is something that you will not necessarily lose. I mean, you still could have your taste and smell, and still have this new variant.
Right. And so, I mean, it was always different person to person, because some people will be like, well, I didn't even know I had it. And others would be like, oh, I was just tired and had to have a nap that day, and others were in the hospital on a ventilator. So that's why we just need to be careful, because you do not know how it's going to affect you or those around you and in your household and your loved ones and friends. You never know who's it going to take down and who's it going to spare. Right.
Are we still seeing different signs from actually COVID? Some of the different patients and people that have had COVID, with as far as lung issues, breathing issues, and I heard someone possibly, develop asthma from this. Are those possibilities that have all come from COVID?
Absolutely. And so it's not just a lung type virus. We've learned that it's not just affecting the respiratory system. So yes, it can cause mass scarring in the lungs of those that get it, but it can also affect other body systems and organs. There's been lots of people that ended up having strokes after having COVID because it's affecting how your blood coagulates, causing the blood clots. And so many young people were having strokes for no apparent reason when they didn't have any complications or any pre-existing conditions before getting COVID. I've heard that it has affected reproductive systems, and that one in particular was reports from other countries. I haven't heard that in the U.S., but it's not going to spare us just because we're the U.S. You never know which body system it's going to affect and who it's going to hit really hard.
Right, and I think you bring up, you're right, and I've heard all that too, and I think the blood clots too, that we've seen more of that on the rise, and this is, these are reminders that, and I just really want to kind of go back over and, reiterate that, that we're seeing it more, and I remember people, let's go back in, many months ago or a year ago, people, it doesn't affect little ones or it doesn't affect young ones, they don't seem to be getting it. And we're seeing that now, and it is affecting, and their bodies might not be able to fight back. And these are things that I think we need to just remind everybody how serious this is.
Right. And I'd like to hit on the fact that I've heard several people say that, now that vaccine can cause the myopathies in children, like the different heart conditions, the fluid buildup, and COVID can almost guarantee you that that's going to happen if you catch COVID. The vaccine, it's a very, very rare chance that may happen after getting the vaccine. So for people to say, well, I'm not going to get it because it can cause this in my child, well, then you're just risking the chance that your child get COVID, because then it's almost guaranteed that they're going to have those complications.
Okay, and what is the difference between a vaccination and a shot? And because the way I understood it, I'll let you just explain it.
Well, a shot can be a shot of anything. The vaccine is a shot because that's the way that it is put into your body. But a shot could also be of an antibiotic, or when we are testing for a PPD test, you get a little shot of serum. A vaccine is specifically what's being shot into you, so it has the antigens in it to help prevent you from getting the infection itself.
Okay. Well, that because someone had asked me the difference in that, and okay, so what about also? Are we hearing anything? And Alicia, again, you're doing fantastic, and I appreciate you really just being right out there with me, but. What about the booster, or for those that have had the shots? People there's a lot of people that are kind of, for those that do believe in the shot and had the shot, they're wondering why the boosters haven't been out yet.
Okay, so I did read more information on this just this week. And it wasn't so much talking about a booster as it was that they were now researching this being a 3-dose series first and then a booster in the future. So there's a possibility it's going to end up being a 3-shot series instead of the initial 2 and then boosters later on. I think they had determined that the 3rd dose was giving you that much more protection and was protecting against these different variants. A booster is something where it just helps boost the immune system you already have, such as like Tdap that you can get now. You get it every 10 years, or if you have a severe injury, you can have it within 5 years to help protect. It's boosting your immune system to keep it at a particular range. And each vaccine is typically a series of vaccines. So no matter what it is, if it's your Hep A, the 2 doses, or if it's chickenpox, it's 2 doses, or each one has its own number in a series. So But right now, they are now researching whether this is going to become a 3-dose series and then boosters. As I say that, don't hold me to it. All the information is always constantly changing. That's just what's being discussed right now.
So it's still on the table. I guess for those, I was asked that, and so it's still on the table. I mean, they're still working on that. I think, we're not hearing as much. You remember, I guess, let's roll back. I know I keep going back to a year ago, but you hear they were working on a vaccination. They were working on, something, they were working on this, and then when they developed it and people started getting it, then it was, told that there'd be a booster in between after so many months. And I know that there's people that there's like that gap in between that they're saying, that, we're not getting a booster, and we've got that, if you will, that gap there that they're concerned about.
Yeah, but at the same time, nobody can give additional doses till they guarantee that it's safe enough and effective enough, and then they'll start rolling them out. We don't want them to do anything just fly off the seat of their pants, because that could be detrimental. We have to be patient. We have to let them finish all their research so that we can be safe.
Right, exactly. And so, but they are still working on that. So, and that's, I appreciate you giving that information, that report there, so that if anybody has those concerns or wondering about that, it is still in on the table. It's just making sure that it's safe and how to do it.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, and also I'm sure they're working on for even under 12. I don't know how in the world, that's very scary and very treading lightly on that, but they're working on that too, maybe possibly for the children.
They are. They have their research groups going on for that, and when they determine that it's safe and effective enough, then they'll put that information out and apply for either for their EUA, which is their emergency use authorization, or the typical way they would, where they submit and it goes through all the different research, and the board gets to decide whether or not it's safe enough to then put out.
Right.
But everything just takes time.
Yeah. And that's something that we have grown to accustom with, that we don't like to wait for. We don't, we have a microwave, we have Instant Pot, we have instant. Yeah.
Everything is instantaneous for us, and we've lost the ability to have patience.
And I thought we were doing better, but every time you think you were doing better, you see someone that's not doing better.
Gets tested again.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and I want to just put this out there, and I want to have, hopefully you and I stand together on this, that anyone making decisions, and when it comes to, school corporations or work or anything, when it comes to a decision maker, it's not always a popular decision, and it's not always the easiest decision, but for those that are, it's the best decision.
Correct. And you can always take that extra step to protect yourself that much further by wearing the mask.
Or going virtual, or double masking, or whatever you need to do, right?
Yes.
Yeah, very good, very good. Well, and also, any decisions could be subject to change, correct?
All the time.
Have we not learned that one, right? Well,
I have.
I know. I know I have too. Yeah, it's subject, and we always have to put at the end of everything, subject to change. This is right now at 9 o'clock, right up, straight up, 9 o'clock a.m. This is where we stand, but it could be at 9:30, something different, right?
Absolutely.
Alicia, you're fantastic, and I appreciate. I really have appreciate you calling and talking with us and letting our listeners know, and from the Washington County Health Department, and keeping up the great work. I want to say, and I do want to kind of leave on a funny. I'm hearing now, we are into orange, and and where we're at, I'm hearing now that they're buying the toilet paper again. Yes, I know.
Save some for me.
I know. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. So, we never did understand that one. No one could ever put wrap their head around that. But at least, so I'm hearing that when the reds start happening or the oranges start happening, that the toilet paper starts coming off the shelf pretty quick. I know.
Well, I'm glad those people are staying at home.
Yeah, really. That's.
Well, you could could also look
or
at
whatever they're doing with that.
Yeah.
the fall colors are coming out a little early. The red, oranges and reds.
Orange and red fall colors. Well, let's hope they're not. Yeah, let's hope that. Yeah, we'll see.
Not go along with that thing. We can make a change.
Yeah, really. I like a nice little blue. Blue looks good, you know.
Oh, we were blue for so long.
Yeah,
Blue,
yeah, that's it. I think we've been so, we've done so good on that, so to speak. And then
do you attribute it solely to this variant? I mean, do you think
I don't think it's solely to the variant. I think that everybody was tired of this and they wanted to go back to their previous normalcy, and they did that.
Yeah, well, and it's very interesting for sure, and yeah. So we'll just see, Alicia. Let's talk again. We'll keep in the know with you, and we'll take it one day at a time, just like we've done. We've grown accustomed to, and the Washington County Health Department don't hesitate to call. And right now you are back doing the regular shots, right?
We are. We're doing school vaccines and anything that adults are needing. Unfortunately, we've seen a spike in other, not just viruses, but other diseases have gone up because people, I don't want to say they were staying home, but I don't know that that's the truth. They weren't getting their vaccines, and now other diseases are now rearing their heads again.
Oh, like what?
Varicella is the number one at this point. They've seen lots of outbreaks of varicella in different schools and daycares, and nothing for our county. Please don't go spreading that one. It's not in our county, but the state of Indiana in general has seen a huge influx. And we had gotten information that school vaccines were down 86%. Well, we think it's awful trying to go through this pandemic, but what happens when we throw multiple other diseases on top of that are known to be fatal?
Sure. And that's chicken pox.
Chicken pox, yes, is varicella. Sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I had to. We're not medically inclined here.
Yeah.
So we had to look.
All right.
Remember your audience, honey. Remember your audience.
Now that goes okay. So, like with COVID, you get the vaccine, and people say, well, that's supposed to prevent me from getting it. It's going to help, but it's not. No vaccine.
No vaccines 100%. You're correct. None of them are. They are there to help prevent death and serious complications from the disease. For the most part, in majority of people, it will completely prevent the disease, but it's not 100% effective at it. And for healthy individuals, it should be doing its job. For those that are more immune compromised, it's going to help prevent death and severe complications.
And when you're a kid, you get the measles vaccination. You don't get it because there's not usually measles around. I mean, every once in a while.
When the mass majority of the population is immunized, we have something called herd immunity. So therefore, when there are those individuals that have the compromised immune systems, have whatever condition going on that they cannot get their vaccines or stay up to date on their vaccines because of other health problems, those people are protected in a way because of everyone around them does not have the disease. So it prevents it from going to those that cannot be protected via immunizations.
Yeah. And so if parents need to bring their kids in to get their updated shots, they need to call and get.
Yes, by appointment. You can call us. You can call your pediatrician, whatever doctor you all see. Make an appointment. We will get you in as soon as we can to get those vaccines done. And they're mandated for school. So unless you have some other situation going on and you have some exemption on file with the school, it is mandated those kids stay up to date on their vaccines. If your child has stayed up to date on their vaccines, they're typically given it kindergarten, 6th grade, and 12th grade. And that's saying that the child is up to date. If they're not up to date, they may have some in between there to get them caught up.
And then some of those they kind of group together in one shot.
We do, yes. We have several different vaccines that have the combination antigens. So like for children, we can have something called ProQuad. So that's going to have measles, mumps, rubella, and varicella. So measles, mumps, rubella, and chickenpox all grouped together in one vaccine. The Tdap.
Kentuckiana's home for the best rock classics 24/7. 365 97.9 WSL. Warning. This program may be found offensive by pencil-pushing, bean-counting, research-loving program directors and radio consultant goobs. In the beginning, there was fun on the radio. Then the radio industry fell victim to corporate America and venture capitalist bankers who marched in with their research and up to their armpits in debt and turned the radio band into a wasteland of cookie cutters. Faceless, sound-alike stations who completely lost touch with the people they were meant to serve.
These vaccines, they can only be given at certain ages, so if they stay up to date, they actually get less vaccines than they would if they fall behind.
Good information for sure. Good to know. So again, let's give the phone number and how they can contact you, Alicia.
Sure. Washington County Health Department is 883-5603, extension 2002. We're here from 8 to noon, 1 to 4 each day, and you do have to make an appointment for whatever it is you're needing. We do have get children and adults up to date on their vaccines. We have smoking cessation. We do have free lice kits. We have several things. So even if you're needing some resources or if it's something that we're not able to do, we'll try our best to try and find that for you.
Right. And you do bring up some good things because I know we've hit about, the variants and COVID and all that, but, also starting back school, lice and different things that, that can be encountered. And it's nice to know that the health department is there and can help and give information if someone needs help with that or their shots or whatever. So.
Yes, and while our county is in orange, you do have to wear your mask in here for your appointment.
Okay. All right, mask up. All right, there we go. And we all got some new masks, so we can show off those new ones, right?
Yes. Make sure you grab them when you do your school shopping.
There you go. Very good. Good information, Alicia. Well, we'll keep everyone in the know, and thank you for keeping us in the know, Alicia. Keep up the great work, and have a terrific Tuesday, hon, okay?
Thank you. Thanks, both of you.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
All right.
Can you imagine if COVID and lice
No.
come together?
No, don't even. That's just not nice. No, that's sad, and for parents, that's just not nice.
That's a
Well,
lice is a
it is
booger.
what it is.
Lice is a booger.
All right, it is what it is.
And it's school time, so that's gonna
Well, you think about everybody coming together. That's usually when.
get on the school bus. Not the.
Well, not just school buses, anything, So just like, all right, we're get out of here, but let's thank our sponsors this morning.
Yeah, Walmart, Meadowview Healthcare, Salem Crossing, Hoosier Uplands, Kentuckiana Cat and Core, Dr. Black's Eye Associates, and Dr. Mindigan. Also, the Reds are back tonight. They're playing the Twins. The Minnesota Twins are coming to town over in Cincinnati, and they'll be on at 7:10 for the first pitch, and they'll be on the radio about 6:40 for the pregame show. So you can listen to those guys. And tomorrow they have a noon game, and then they start a series with the Pirates on Thursday. So, and they're still in second place. So
Yay! All right, wonderful. Well, everyone have a terrific Tuesday. Enjoy your day. Best day ever.
Best day ever. That's right.
KCC Dumpster Rental for your cleaning projects is easy.
NBC News Radio, I'm Michael Kastner. Too many Americans are still not vaccinated and need to get the shots.
There are still about 90 million eligible Americans who are unvaccinated, and we need them to do their part, roll up their sleeves and get vaccinated.
That's how White House COVID coordinator Jeff Zients opened a briefing. He said vaccines are the best way to curb the growing surge of Delta variant. Zients stressed vaccinations are free and easily accessible across the U.S. He's also